New York City has endured 4 major recessions in the last 4 decades, counting this one. They say that people who don't study history are condemned to repeat it. So in figuring out what this downturn is going to be like, here's a little history lesson. In the early part of this decade, New York City lost 225,000 jobs. The primary cause was the contraction on Wall Street that followed the collapse of the internet boom. September 11th led to great dislocation, but not much actual job loss. And you might call it the Manhattan Recession. The reason? Manhattan was affected, but not the boroughs outside of Manhattan and not the suburbs. The pain was tough, but short-lived, and the recovery was surprisingly strong. Then there was the 1980s, a downturn that lasted from 1988 to 1994. The city lost about 329,000 jobs. That's 9% of all the jobs in the city. The cause again was primarily Wall Street, as Wall Street reacted to the stock market crash of 1987. But there was more. There was a speculative real estate boom driven by tax considerations, not demand. And then there were the social issues. Crime soared, 2,000 murders in 1 year, people didn't feel safe, and many companies fled the city, in part because of social conditions, but also because of very high taxes. You know the names, JCPenney and Exxon, to name two. And then there was the 1970s. It's known as the era of the fiscal crisis, but there was more to it. The city lost 610,000 jobs in that decade, 400,000 plus manufacturing jobs. The recovery took more than a decade, and the city lost 900,000 people from its population as a result of flight. Well, no one thinks we're going back to the 1970s, neither do I, but here's what worries me. The manufacturing sector, then the city's most important sector, lost about a third of its jobs in the 1970s. We're on track to lose 40, maybe 50% of our Wall Street jobs. We all know how important Wall Street is to the city economy today. I'm very worried about the implications.